Garlich, welcome.
Thank you, Marcel.
Garlich, last week we talked about the development of the Euroseeds InnovAction Stage. And it's obvious that such a project, of course, needs great partners and great leadership. Can you talk a bit more about bringing such a process to life?
Well, it all started with a simple post-Congress review. So looking at what we have done so far, people were generally happy with our Congress. Our numbers of participation are increasing, but we were, of course, thinking about, is there something else that we can do? Are there elements that would be interesting? And we felt that there are so many new developments that it's really hard to keep track. And we wanted to provide an opportunity to stage those developments somehow, to make people more aware of what is happening in the sector and around it, and to understand what of that could be useful for the future. So it really started off with a simple idea, but then we had the luck and the opportunity to look around a little bit and find indeed a company that had done something similar. And I was lucky enough to be partner in that project and an evaluator actually of innovative solutions around plant breeding and seed production. And so that gave me the confidence a little bit to say this is something that could actually work. There is interest, there's a concept, there's a potential partner. So that's a bit how we started. And then in the end, we found a very good partner with Ernst & Young, well-known company, obviously, also in and around the seed sector, that also picked up on this idea. And so, yeah, well, here we are today.
Wonderful. Can you share a little bit about the roadblocks, some of the roadblocks that you ran into?
I wouldn't call it really roadblocks, but obviously, if you start developing it, I mean, the first thing is, are you yourself sufficiently aware of all those innovations that are out there? Because we all read a lot, we have our newsletters, we talk to company representatives, but I think what we see is here and there the tip of the iceberg or a very specific example, but we are not systematically following this. So we had to find indeed someone who would be able to do that with us and for us. And luckily, we have been able to do that with Agro Innovation Lab. So the biggest roadblock, if I may call it that way, was indeed to find that partner to give us that head start. So to build on something that was already there. That I think was our biggest challenge when we started really in earnest to develop this concept.
Yeah, wonderful. And the theme, I know that the theme for this year's InnovAction Stage is research and breeding innovations.
Yes.
How did you go about it in choosing this specific theme?
Well, there's a certain logic to it, if I may say so. We first thought to do a quite general innovation challenge. So any innovation that was somehow relevant for the plant breeding sector. But then we realized that would be a very wide range of very different projects, solutions, services, products. And we also felt that if we wanted to establish this as a recurrent element of the Congress, we probably would want to rather focus each year on a different part of that development process across the seed production chain. And so the logical first step is, where do you start? You start with breeding. You start indeed with developing a new concept for a new variety. So that's why this year, the first year, we'll concentrate on that. And the intention is then next year to follow up with seed production. So once you actually do have your defined variety with the respective genetics in it, how do you make sure that also the seed that you produce from it is at the right quality level, is available at the right point in time, is packaged the way that you want it to? So that would be the second step. So how do we get to the actual sellable product? And the last step would be, what is around that product? So packaging, treatment, logistics, maybe also IP enforcement and things like that, that are also relevant. And then to, let's say, return to the beginning. That's a little bit the kind of recurrent scheme that we have tried to implement. So I think it's logical to start with the breeding.
If we reflect a bit on the journey, Garlich, from inception to today, Was there a specific milestone where you felt, okay, this project is on the right track?
I think there were two. One was when we understood that we had the right partner with Agro Innovation Lab in the beginning to fine tune the concept. So someone who had gone through a similar process and who would help us turn all the ideas that we had into manageable steps of a process. So that was the managerial aspect of it, as well as the contexts that were associated with it. And I think the second one was when we actually saw the number of applications that came in, we knew that that process apparently was proper, so it attracted attention, and we got really also in our assessment we got really very relevant applications. So when we saw, well, we have a good 50 that actually applied, we also knew selecting the top 12 out of them would be a very realistic scenario and would guarantee us also the level of quality that we wanted to see and present to our members during the Congress.
Wonderful. And we're relatively close to the Congress, and we're well
Mhm.
underway with the InnovAction
Mhm.
stage. Perhaps you already received some feedback. What is some of the feedback that you already received?
Well, first one is curiosity, I should say. So there's a lot of interest. There's a lot of yeah, indeed, curiosity to see what is that? What exactly can we expect? How will that integrate into the flow of the entire Congress? So I think it's normal. It's the first time that we do this. So a lot of people are very curious to see how is that going to run in practice. Um, Generally, the feedback is very good. It is really showing the relevance of something like this. So there is a positive feedback in the sense of saying that is a good idea. That is something that we indeed consider to be a valuable addition. We are looking for solutions here or here or here, but we don't know necessarily where to turn. We can't afford to go to all these different places where companies present each other, but here it's at our Congress. It's on our doorstep. So that's a very convenient way of doing it. So far, feedback is good, level of curiosity is high, attendance is good. So I hope that all will translate in the end into a, well, first successful edition of this InnovAction Stage.
Wonderful. I can't wait to see the pictures of the 12 finalists. Thank you so much, Garlich.
Yeah, we're very happy that you're part of it. Thank you very much indeed, Marcel.